Sentire Media.
Welcome to the Stop Italian Sounding podcast, uncovering authentic Italian food. I'm your host, Robert Campana, and join me as we delve into the rich heritage of genuine Italian food, exploring its legends, history, and traditions. Through important tips and insightful interviews with industry professionals, you'll gain a deeper understanding of authentic Italian food. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stop Italian Sounding show, uncovering authentic Italian food, bringing you small bites of Italian food culture. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about something that often surprises a lot of people, especially outside of Italy, which is about the fact that Italy does have a dedicated food police. Now, I know a lot of people always joke about the Italian food police, or Italians are very strict about food. But I'm not talking about food police that will arrest you if you have cappuccino after 11 or if you break spaghetti. Instead, I'm talking about something that is called the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare. And their existence tells us something very, very important about how Italy views food, not just as nourishment, but as culture, as history, as identity, and history worth protecting, of course. So, first of all, who are these Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare, the quote-unquote food police? So, they are a specialized unit of the Italian Carabinieri, and the Carabinieri are Italy's national military police force, and their mission is extremely specific. They investigate and combat food fraud, counterfeiting, and the misuse of protected names like PDO products or PGI products. This does include fake Parmigiano Reggiano. I mentioned Parmigiano Reggiano just because it's something I talk about all the time. But also it helps to protect the integrity of all of the PDO and PGI products, because there is a lot of fraud when it comes to not just Parmigiano Reggiano, but also balsamic vinegar of Modena, for example, or other cheeses like Gorgonzola. So basically, false claims of origin, misleading labels, and products that damage Italy's agricultural and gastronomic heritage. This is why the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare, Italy's food police, exist. They work very closely with producers, with consortia, and with public institutions to ensure that when a product claims to be Italian or tied to a specific territory, that it truly is. And this isn't about red tape or obsession. It's about defending real farmers, families, traditions, and obviously consumer trust, because without the trust of the consumers, we don't get business done. So now, this is very important because there's often a lot of confusion when it comes to food protection in Italy, because Italy already has a very well-known unit called the NAS, N-A-S, which a lot of people mistakenly lump together with the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare. And the NAS stands for the Nuclei Antisofisticazioni e Sanità, which roughly translates to the Anti-Adulteration and Public Health Units, basically Italy's unit for health protection. So the NAS, again, N-A-S, focus primarily on things like food safety or hygiene and sanitation, public health, expired or unsafe products, for example, and other things like conditions in restaurants or hospitals or any type of food facility. So in simple terms, the NAS protect consumer health, while the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare, on the other hand, protect authenticity, origin of a product, economic integrity, and they're not just inspecting dirty kitchens or coming after you if you drink a cappuccino after 11, which obviously won't happen. They are investigating fraud, real fraud, counterfeiting, and the abuse of protected food identity. So both units in Italy are essential, but they do serve two very important roles and very different roles as well. So how does this all compare to what we have here in the United States? So in the US, food oversight is mainly handled by the FDA and the USDA. So these agencies do play a crucial role, obviously, in things like food safety or contamination prevention, or things like labeling compliance, public health protection. So elements like this. But there is a key difference. Because the USDA and the FDA are not designed to protect food culture or geographic identity. So the FDA doesn't exist to defend tradition, history, or regional food heritage, because its mission is more scientific, let's just say, and regulatory, not cultural. And there's really no, at least I could think of, American equivalent that actively investigates whether a product is misusing a cultural identity or trading on a protected food reputation, basically the way Italian-sounding products do. So in Italy, Italian-sounding products would be illegal. And this begs the question as to if these agencies or agencies like the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare do exist in other countries around the world. So the answer is kind of, because in some countries, especially in Europe, they do have systems to protect food designations and fight food fraud. I think of France, I think of Spain, for example, that have mechanisms tied to the geographic indications. But Italy is quite unique in having a dedicated law enforcement unit with police powers whose sole mission is tied to food authenticity and agricultural heritage. So being that the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare is part of Italy's military police, yes, they do conduct raids. Yes, they do arrest people in order to protect, of course, the cultural heritage. So in that sense, the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare are almost unique around the entire world. And that alone tells you how serious Italy actually takes food. So one may ask, why does this level of protection even matter? Well, Italy doesn't protect food just because the food tastes good. Food in Italy represents many things. It represents many centuries of agricultural knowledge. It obviously represents a mosaic of regional identity, family livelihoods, cultural continuity. So many different things that make up the very essence of being Italian. And when a name is misused, or I should say when a food name is misused, it doesn't just confuse consumers, it actually harms the real producers, and it begins to erase that food history, if you will. So that's why institutions like the Carabinieri per la Tutela Agroalimentare do exist, to make sure that tradition is not exploited or diluted, because at that point it will just turn into empty marketing, unfortunately. And Italy is making a very clear statement with this, with their food police, because some things are obviously too important to leave unguarded, such as food. So when people joke about Italy having a food police, they're kind of right, but in a sense, they're missing a point, because what Italy is really saying is that the quality, truth, and heritage, for that matter, do matter. And that the food is not just a commodity, but part of the nation's identity. And understanding this does help us better understand Italian food, Italian labels, and why authenticity when it comes to food is worth defending. So anyway, that is today's episode. I hope you learned something today, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the stories of authentic Italian cuisine. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more insights and interviews. Also, feel free to reach out with your thoughts or questions on our social media channels at Stop Italian Sounding or on our website, stopitasounding.com. Grazie a tutti e alla prossima.
Sentire Media.
Hey, podcast producers and show hosts. Do you want to join a podcast network that celebrates all things Italian? At Sentire Media, we understand the allure of Italy and its unique culture. Our devoted team of hosts and producers are all driven by their shared passion for Italy. And we work tirelessly to create the best lifestyle podcasts and content that will whisk you away to the very heart of Italy. With us, you can savor the mouth-watering flavors, get lost in the stories from the past, break down the cultural barriers, and truly immerse yourself in the vibrant traditions of this intoxicating country. If you have a great podcast idea or are already in production and would like to join Sentire Media, head over to sentiremedia.com, that's SENTIRE media.com, and find out how to submit your show.